fight, shining a light where the shadows creep, for the lost, the stolen, the ones who will weep. She won't turn away, she won't back down, even when the loony clowns come round. Threats don't shake her, lies don't win. She stands for justice, right till the end. Want the truth, want the best, wanna be safe as you chat. Find kids true crime, it's worth your time. She's got your back, she's on the line. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok too, Facebook stream, she'll fight for you. Some chase fame, some chase views, but she fights for those with nothing to lose. For the kids who vanish without a trace, she won't stop till she cracks the case. They try to silence, they try to scare, but truth don't break and she's still there, calling out monsters, showing their game. Justice comes when you speak their name. Want the truth, want the best, wanna be safe as you chat. Find kids true crime, it's worth your time. She's got your back, she's on the line. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok too, Facebook stream, she'll fight for you. So if you're lost or need a voice, kids stand strong, she makes the choice. For victims gone, for those in need, she's fighting hard, she won't concede. Want the truth, want the best, wanna be safe as you chat. Find kids true crime, it's worth your time. She's got your back, she's on the line. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok too, Facebook streams, she'll fight for you. At the end of the day, this is all we have to say. Fight for will always have her back. He will kick you right in the sack.
Hello, Misty. How you doing? Hi, Bogart. So we're back. Have you guys heard of the House of Horrors in Connecticut? Kimberly Sullivan. Allegedly, this is a legend, but I believe it. She has held captive her stepson for what, 20 years, since he was 11, and he was so malnourished that he weighed 68 pounds. Okay. He started the fire in the house with, God, what was it, with paper and, oh God, I can't remember what. So anyways, he started a fire to get help. He didn't care probably if he died or not, but here we go. Let's get into it. We're going to go, let's see what the cops say.
Good morning, everyone. You guys all ready? So we're here to talk about the crime that just occurred that everyone's talking about, and I just want to say that it's truly a horrifying, and it's beyond comprehension what occurred here. The young man's unimaginable suffering over the course of 2 decades is just a reminder of the darkness that does exist in our world. Our hearts and our prayers go out to him. We're committed to supporting him in every way possible as he begins to heal from this unimaginable trauma that he suffered. I do want to this morning, though, acknowledge and extend my deepest gratitude to Chief Fred Spagnola and the Waterbury Police Department for their unwavering dedication and relentless investigative efforts, as well as to Waterbury State's Attorney Maureen Platt and her office for their vital role in this case. Their tireless work has led to an arrest, but it's crucial to remember that this investigation is far from over, and there's a lot more work to be done. Unanswered questions remain, and we're going to continue to ensure that justice is fully served as more details emerge in the coming months. In the meantime, I would ask that the press and the community respect the young man's privacy
Okay.
as he begins to negotiate what will no doubt be a difficult.
Okay, I'm really confused. Maybe we'll find out more. I just want to know why she just got arrested now. When they're saying this fire happened, oh God, in February. I'm confused.
And painful journey towards recovery. So please keep him in your thoughts and in your prayers. And with that, I will turn it over to Fred Spagnola, our Chief of Police.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation with you. As you all know, on February 17th, around 8:40 p.m., Waterbury Police responded to 2 Blake Street on a report of a fire. Officers and fire investigators immediately realized there were some grave concerns about some of the conditions in the house. There were 2 occupants of the house, one being Kimberly Sullivan, the stepmother of the male victim. Officers and fire investigators quickly realized that there was a room in the house that appeared to have locks on it from the exterior portion of the house. They began to speak to the male victim, who disclosed that he was being held captive in the house for an extended period of time, approximately 20 years. The investigation began from that point. We worked closely with the State's Attorney's Office, Maureen Platt, as well as Assistant State's Attorney Don Thurkelson, because frankly, what was being reported was unfathomable to us at that point in time. Through those investigative meetings and through search warrants, we were able to seize physical evidence and conduct interviews and dig up some more information that corroborated the victim's story. This investigation, as the mayor points out, continues, is very open and very active. We were able to obtain arrest warrants for Kimberly Sullivan. She was arrested yesterday. She was arraigned in Waterbury Superior Court. She's currently being held on a $300,000 bond.
All right, I have a problem with this. Well, at least he's out of there, right? That poor kid, ever since he was 11. Now there's another thing. The stepmom is blaming his father. His father died in 2024, so he can't speak. Also, she's out on bail. She shouldn't even got bail. And this kid was it's very bizarre. This kid has been held captive. Oh, but she gets a $300,000 bond? Who got her out? That's $30,000. I don't know. Let's continue.
At this point, I'll open the floor up for any questions.
The biological father, we've learned that he recently left the home, and her lawyer is saying that we need to look deeper into his part in all of this. When it comes to the investigation, is he being held accountable at all?
The biological father is deceased and died in January of 2024. Prior to his death, he was wheelchair bound from some medical conditions.
Also, it was reported to the school system that this boy at the time, now 32-year-old man, he was starving, he was asking other kids for lunch. I mean, is this a failure on the school system that this matter was not taken more seriously?
So we're doing some background investigation. There are 2 incidents that we had within our computer system of dealing with that address and with the family back in 2005. One was a request from DCF to do a welfare check at the location. because children that the victim was familiar with hadn't seen him and they were concerned about him. Officers went to the house. The house was clean. It was lived in. They spoke to the victim at that point in time, and there were no cause for any alarm or any conditions that existed that would have led officers to believe anything other than a normal childhood and a normal family existence was occurring. But that was reported back to DCF, and that was the last that we were involved in that particular investigation. We were called back to the house in the latter part of April by the family, who wanted to file a harassment complaint against members of the school district, saying that they were continuously reporting them to DCF and felt that they were trying to get the family in trouble and have the family investigated. We have no further information about where that went, other than there was no proof provided by the family that there was any type of harassment that was occurring. You know, as far as the school district's concerned, we are looking at those records now. We're working with DCF to look at records that they may have from previous investigations, and that's part of the ongoing.
Oh my God, this is crazy. This is really confusing, actually. I mean, dating back to when he was 11. And when he got rescued, he's 68 pounds. There's a problem here. This lady's walking the streets. Hi, Michelle. It is crazy. I don't even know, man. Okay, let's carry on.
Investigation.
But Chief, people were filing complaints, even if it was with DCF continuously, as the family, I guess, alleged. You know, was there more contact from DCF, and do you know anything about how that looked?
So the only contact we had was back in April of 2005 when we were notified to conduct that welfare check. And again, we're looking for those records now.
Okay, I always get ahead of myself. 2005 was the last contact for that boy, because there was a concern back in 2005. Wow, guys, that's crazy.
To determine where that investigation may have gone, but there was no further reported information to the Waterbury Police Department.
So when you had an officer go out there that first time, you're saying everything looked normal, looked like a normal childhood, but the school district, the principal told us that the child looked really small, malnourished, was drinking from a urinal at school, was taking kids' food. So, I mean, with all that information, the officer still concluded that the child was safe at that time?
Well, the officer didn't have that information. So this former principal is now disclosing all this information. And I believe in the news clips I've reviewed that he was making calls to DCF and other agencies. Waterbury Police were never notified by this particular principal about those conditions. So this is all information that is coming out now as this case unfolds.
I believe he said he called police, but you have no record of that.
Well, I believe he's wrong if that's what he said, because there is no record of it.
Can you talk about, you said that there was some evidence that corroborates the story of the gentleman. Can you talk any more about what that is, or how do you go about corroborating a story like this that's so extraordinary?
Right. So there's some physical evidence that was seized from the house that does corroborate the fact that that room did have exterior locks on it, and a number of different styles of exterior locks, as was explained during an interview with the victim. Throughout the years, it appeared that the locks increased in security levels as time progressed, and obviously he became older and maybe a little bit stronger. So that's certainly one component, and then there's other components of the fire investigation that are part of the evidence package as well.
And I'm sorry if you said this, but were these the only two individuals living in that home?
Yes, there were two siblings that were in and out of the home, but they have since moved out.
So say DCF had all this information, the principal's saying, they don't share any of that with police?
You're going to have to talk to DCF about what their protocol is on when they share information with police. DCF does work closely with police departments and provides a lot of information to police departments in a number of different ways. I don't know what their protocol is on when they share that information. So that would be something that they would have to respond to.
Chief, how's the victim doing now? Obviously, some serious conditions we read about, PTSD and depression. What can you share about how the victim's faring?
Right. So obviously he's got a lot of mental health issues that he has to deal with at this point in time. There are a lot of physical conditions that he's working on as well. I mean, here's an adult that was 5'9" and 68 pounds. There's some apparent orthopedic issues. The room was very small. Honestly, when I read about it and talk to the investigators and overlook the interviews, it was worse than the conditions of a jail cell. So there's a lot of physical therapy that he'll have to go through. There's a lot of healing that he'll have to go through.
How sick is this, people? And she's out. He says worse than a jail cell. Oh, but look it, she's not there. And listen, do you hear all the locks he's talking about on the door outside of his room? How is this still happening in the 21st century? I don't get it. I have no idea. Ask YouTube. Ask YouTube. That shouldn't be happening for sure. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. All right, let's continue with this. This is
Mentally, and I can tell you this: our investigators, and I'll specifically point out Detective Steve Brownell and Detective John Pace, who were the lead investigators in this particular case. But all the investigators, the entire Criminal Investigations Bureau, has been very supportive of the victim. They took a collection up and bought him some items to try to make life more comfortable, some clothing and some books and some things to kind of get him along the way as he goes through this process. But our plan is to continue to support him. He's going to need a lot of support as he travels through this and tries to figure out how to navigate what has occurred and what the future holds for him.
Chief, I think a lot of people are wondering, like, where are his other relatives? Did no one else see this man for 20 years that they were able to, say anything, report anything to police? Like, was his stepmother the only person in his life? Did he have? You said he had 2 siblings. Where is everyone else? Where are all the relatives?
So the backdrop is being formed, and this is again why the investigation continues. It appears that if it was a very controlling situation going on regarding the victim's condition, his whereabouts, his connection with other family members, other people in the community, other friends. Information was very guarded on what was released. And
yeah, listen to all the secrets. You live out there? Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know who bonded her out. She had a $300,000 bond, I can tell you that much. She wasn't in for a full 24 hours. Somebody had money to do this. Oh, they're all worried about her. Let's speed this up. Going a little too slow for me. Oh, what's going on? Okay, and I want to say something real quick. It doesn't have to do with this case. I'm getting comments, but just in case they come to my live or they're, gonna, just not come and chat. I didn't hijack anything from YouTube streets. Okay, I don't know who you are, but mind your business. You're not a creator. I know that much. You don't know how this works. We all work together and share information. So don't come in my comments talking smack. Okay, carry on.
and when he was able to see other members of the family and other members of the community. And I think that I know from information provided in the interviews that there was a level of fear on retaliation on what would occur if information was released or help was provided to the victim by family members.
Were there any injuries as a result of the fire?
Smoke inhalation, to the best of my knowledge. I don't know if there's any long-term effects from what occurred at the fire, but on scene, he was treated for smoke inhalation.
Could he get out of the house? Did he get out of the house on his own, or did firefighters have to rescue him?
He was assisted out of the house.
Will you be identifying him at any point?
That's a great question. Not at this time, and I don't really know when, if at all.
Where's the mother?
The mother has not been involved in the victim's life
From the beginning.
pretty much, from all accounts, around 2 years old.
The suspect is denying all the allegations through her attorney. Has she said anything about how her stepson would be 68 pounds, for example?
Kimberly Sullivan refused to talk to us immediately.
Do you have a picture of the door lock that was taken as evidence?
I'm 100% certain that we do. I'd have to confer with the state's attorney if we were going to release any information like that at this time.
Does Kimberly Sullivan, have any prior criminal convictions?
No prior criminal history with us here at the police department.
Neighbors were telling us that if he had
I'm sorry, you guys know I got to pause it every now and then, but I just seen a comment here. I wonder what grade level he's at. Well, I don't know. 2005. Okay, so it's been 20 years, and he was 11 years old. He's been stuck in that home since he was 11 years old. So he's probably stuck at 11-year-old range. I don't know.
any other intents besides his murder to try to get things in place?
No, again, I don't, from what we've put together so far, no, and that's because of a fear of retaliation. I mean, he, in his room, to relieve himself, right, had this elaborate mechanism that he created where he would urinate in a bottle, and he had straws connected to the bottom of the bottle, and he found a hole in the storm window frame that he was able to put these straws through. And he did that because the storm window itself wouldn't open up, and he was fearful that if he broke that storm window or tried to open it up, that there would be some retaliation. So, I'm certainly not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but there's a lot of nuances to people that are victims and held captive. And I think that, there's a lot of work that needs to be done with this particular gentleman in that area to really determine all the impact and all the effects that this long-term condition has really brought on him.
I take it you haven't had a case like this before.
33 years of law enforcement. This is the worst treatment of humanity that I've ever witnessed. Right? I mean, honestly, when we first started talking about it, we really couldn't believe it. It took a lot of convincing amongst ourselves to just really accept what was going on. And it's really hard to talk about still. I mean, it's shuddering to think that someone would treat any person, let alone a family member or someone that was entrusted as a guardian or a parental figure in this way.
Mayor, can you also share your personal thoughts and reactions knowing something so disturbing happened in this community?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, it's just unfathomable that anyone could treat someone this way. As the chief said, especially within the relationship that they had, it's devastating. And we're going to make sure that the systems are working into the future to see what might have happened 20 years ago when this may have been reported. But at this point, it appears that this was just really an isolated sense and that they were locked in there all by themselves. And through fear and intimidation, she was able to keep it secret all that time.
So when you're talking about the future and other children, families out there, I mean, if there's welfare checks, and the kids are told to lie about being fed, I mean, what happens?
Well,
are they going to stay in these situations like he did? Or?
Well, there's limits, I would think, to what you can do. We can send people out to check and look at it. I don't know what it looked like when the officer walked into the house in 2005, what the child looked like. That's 2 decades ago. And so, it's hard. We can send people out. We can do the checks. We can make sure that teachers, and administrators are looking out for children, notice some of the telltale signs. I think we've come a long way as well in 20 years over looking for these things and being able to report the requirements of what has to go to DCF have changed over that time. So I think we continue to do it. But can I tell you that it will never happen again? I don't think anyone can tell you that because there's a lot of things that go into this that, can help keep it secret.
Where was she arrested at 7?
I don't know. I could get you that information.
The last communication that the school had was in 2005. Why? Oops. Something is going on with my YouTube. This is so weird. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Can you believe? Oh. I couldn't imagine what he looks like. This is horrible. Horrible. And for my understanding, he would urinate in bottles and drink his urine. He would hide it. Yeah. You're right. Okay. This is horrible.
Information. I'm not sure exactly where she was arrested in Southington. You know, and it's important, you know, to piggyback on the mayor's response to your inquiry. You know, if you see something, say something. I know it's a cliche, and we talk about it all the time, but all the great work that the media and press is doing now on this particular case, in talking to relatives and neighbors and school district people. I know some have said that they've made calls, but some have said they haven't. Right. So if things are peculiar, it's important to notify the police department. We will certainly look into that information and take the appropriate action. And it may take more than one time, depending on the circumstances we find when we get there. And we know that, you know, through history and through our work with servicing agencies, the victims of domestic violence, especially, are oftentimes reluctant to come forward. And you know, we encourage people that are victims of domestic violence to find the fortitude to come forward, and we're here to help. We really are.
In this situation, though, it seems like, according to the police report, that his life became worse because someone reported it, and after that second DCF visit, another pulled him from school.
Correct. Correct.
But you still would encourage people to.
I would. I mean, because you're not going to break the cycle any other way. I mean, you know, unfortunately, in this case, it seems as if an 11-year-old was taken extreme advantage of, and at that time, you know, it's very tragic that occurred, but it will never stop, right? And this.
All right, I got a couple comments here. Okay, I think we don't know what's wrong with his dad, right? But you heard he was wheelchair bound. I'm thinking allegedly Kimberly was in charge of the money, and she's just pure evil. Also, I want to say about abuse and about protecting your abuser and the psychological stuff. I lived it. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys I lived it. You're too afraid. Okay, let me tell you a few things, just a couple. I'm not going to go deep, it's too much. I was afraid to even go into the fridge to even grab anything. I was afraid that if I would knock like a pop over, or like the cans were in alphabetical order, just crazy shit I dealt with. But the state got involved when I was 15. I was pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant at 15. And the state got involved. Okay, came to the school, and I cried, and I would not talk, and I protected my abuser, which is my dad. Okay, so I get that, protecting your abuser. I mean, not even like I protected my ex-husband too, but I'm talking like family, because this is about a family, you know, a family core thing. So I understand protecting that. It's terrifying, terrifying.
Gentleman suffered for 2 decades because of that. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback, but I think it's really important to never lose hope, and to continue to report incidents, especially if you're a victim of neglect or a crime.
Was he in the room all the time? Because there were some reports that he was in the backyard doing chores.
He would be released from the room anywhere from 15 minutes to a couple of hours every day. You know, there were some indication during the interview that although his dad didn't do him too many favors when the stepmother wasn't around, he would stay out of the room a little bit longer.
Any motive, like any indication as to why she would do something like this?
As I said, she refused to speak to us immediately, and you know, I hope the investigation reveals more information on the reasoning and the motive on why.
Did he say anything?
No, not to really point to that, other than, you know, to describe the agony that he went through, and the lack of understanding on why.
Will the sister face charges at any time?
No, in speaking to the state's attorney's office, we don't believe so at this time. I mean, this is a very open case, very active case. It appears that so far the evidence collected and the information received reveals that Kimberly Sullivan is the sole person responsible, and we're able to charge at this point in time.
The daughter spoken? The sister spoken at all? I don't recall
I'm sorry.
I don't recall the scene where sisters have sisters' names or being interviewed in the warrant. Were there attempts made to reach out to them?
Again, we're attempting to talk to everybody in this case. Yeah.
But they said no, they're not gonna comment.
At this point in time, there's been no statements taken from them. Anything else?
Can you just talk about the next steps in the court proceedings?
Yeah. So, obviously, she's held on a $300,000 bond. There is a possibility that she may bond out. She'd have to do that at court. Mark, are we aware of her next court date? Do you have that date? 26th of March? March 26th, she will appear again.
We knew it. We reported it.
Right, we'll go through that. That is the neighbor talking. The neighbor's upset. Oh God, this just gives me. You know what it does, people? You hear stuff like this. I mean, this is really severe, but you go back to your own traumas. For someone to drink their own urine must have been the most horrific living circumstances. I've heard people doing the same. Oh, of course, the monster. Yeah. Okay. Let's listen to the 911 call and the body cam.
Oh my God. It's 2 Blake Street.
What's the address?
Please hurry. It's 2 Blake Street. There's a fire.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Blake
There's a
Street?
fire outside.
Ma'am, what's
2
on
Blake
fire?
Street. The TV, I don't know. My son, a stepson, is in his room, and I don't know. He did something with the TV. I was sleeping. I fell asleep.
See flames or smoke?
Yes. Come on, Steph. Come on.
Okay, can you get
Yes, we need an ambulance, please.
Okay.
Please, we need an ambulance.
Ma'am, all right, you said something's on fire and now you need an ambulance. What's going on there?
Yes, his room. The TV in his room.
Did he get injured? Is he on fire?
Yes, he's injured. Please send the ambulance.
Ma'am, I'm going to send the ambulance. I need to know what's going on and why they're going out there.
Come on.
Where is he injured?
I don't know. He's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. He's kind of passed out. He's out of it. Please.
Okay, what's your phone number just in case we need to give you a call back? Okay, is the fire out, ma'am?
No, it's not. Please. I'm trying to.
I understand, ma'am. I'm trying to get information on what's going on there.
Oh my God! It's like all the power in the house is out. I don't know if it's blue or fuse. I don't know.
Okay, ma'am. Just get out of the house, okay?
Yes, I'm gonna call my daughter.
All right.
Come over here. Go down the road. Come on. Come down. Come down.
Come on, down.
Who else is in the house? Who else is in here?
My stepson is in here.
How many other
help
people?
him out.
Listen,
That's it. I have 2 cats.
Everybody's out?
Yeah.
But your stepson's still inside?
Yeah, he's right here.
Okay,
yes.
come out. Come down the road. Come on. Come on. It's not safe to stay here. Come on.
All right, here he is. All right, my dog is shaking.
I know. Come down here. That's 287 code 33 victim. Fire victim.
Okay.
Come on.
My dog is.
Right
I know my dog.
I know. Come on.
I'm coming.
You've seen it. That one victim right here.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Did you see that? They were carrying him. Did you guys see that? And listen to her. You know why she don't care? She couldn't get to him because everything was he was locked in there. Oh my God, they were carrying him.
Seen it. That one victim right here.
Wow.
You just stay over here.
Wow. Thank God for those fire people. Fire peoples. Okay, she looks like Betty Dame. All right, let's listen to what the neighbor says. The neighbor's very upset. Hold on a minute.
We knew it. We reported it. Not a damn thing was done. That's the tragedy of the whole thing.
Tom Pannone hasn't seen the alleged victim since he was in 4th grade in the early 2000s, but says he always knew something was wrong. He was the principal at the now closed Barnard Elementary School and says he and his staff noticed that.
Okay, this is the principal they're talking about. That the sheriff is saying that that's the first time he's heard it.
The child was extremely small and thin. He says when they asked him questions, the boy told them he wasn't allowed food at times at the house.
Everyone really was concerned with this child since he was 5 years old. You knew something was wrong. It was grossly wrong.
He says teachers would even bring food in for the student. He says he and his team made multiple calls to his stepmom, Kimberly Sullivan, and called the Department of Children and Families at least 20 times. The arrest warrant says the student was told to lie and say everything was fine. But by 5th grade, he never came back to school.
You don't disappear off the face of the earth at 10 years old.
Pannone was told the student was enrolled in Wolcott schools, but he couldn't find any records of that. He was also told at one point the boy was homeschooled.
We probably saw that kid 3 times outside.
Paula DePina says she lived next door to the Sullivan home from 2003 to 2009 and says she would see Kimberly, the late husband, and 2 daughters, but not the stepson as often. And says when she did catch a glimpse, what she saw was deeply troubling.
I'm trembling right now just thinking about it, just because I can remember his face.
And as for neighbors now,
I've never seen a stepson, never.
It's shocking, like not knowing what's going on around you.
Pannone says he feels anger hearing that his former student allegedly was pushed so hard he had to set fire to his own home to escape, and shares this message to his former student.
Sorry we couldn't do more because you went through more than any of us ever will go through in our lives.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news.
Horrible. This is horrible. Yes, it is insane. Oh, can you imagine? I can't imagine this. All right, so this is, oh, where'd it go? Hold on a minute. I had it ready. Where'd it go, people? Them in court. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Why? See, I'm getting all these commercials too, people, just so you know. Okay. I thought it was ready, but I guess not. All right, let's find the court hearing. Okay, court. Hold on a minute, please. Kimberly. All right, hold on, please. Here we go. Well, why? Hold on. I just had it. All right, I found it. Okay. Sorry, guys. Why can't we hear this? Holy crap. Look at her. Look at her. They want to relook at the father's body. She seems like the control type. You've seen how she was with the law enforcement and the fire department. She looks like, I have no care in the world. I did nothing wrong kind of look.
Is the court ordering any kind of EMS home confinement? I'm not at this time. Is the court ordering any GPS monitoring? Not at this time. The original date was 3/26 for Harvey. That was the original date. All right, 26.
Counsel, yesterday you waited 5 hours.
Oh my God, why am I muted? Sorry. All right, we're going to go to, oops. I got 2 more videos to show. The hospital, I think. No, the hospital ain't talking. Who is it? The lawyer, her lawyer. I think her lawyer. Yes, her lawyer. We got 3 more to watch. Oh my God.
If you're
kind of speak to whoever's asking questions.
All right.
You mentioned that your client maintains her innocence.
Absolutely. Yeah, so she completely maintains her innocence. From our perspective, these allegations are not true. They are outlandish. I mean, she was blown away when she heard these allegations.
Oh, come on. What are these people thinking? He weighs 68 pounds. The kid, as what the school said, child protection was involved at one time. Last time he was seen was 2005. Come on now.
She's adamant they are not true. This did not happen. And we look forward to being able to vindicate her and show that she's done nothing wrong.
Can you speak on, I guess, what your stance is? What she, I guess you say she's innocent. Can you just kind of expand on that?
She's never locked him in a room. That is absolutely not true. He was not locked in a room. She did not restrain him in any way.
Why were there locks on the door?
She provided food. She provided shelter. She is blown away by these allegations. It is shocking. And what's more shocking to me is how someone can be falsely accused of such a thing.
You mentioned her husband passing away recently. Is
Correct.
he potentially someone who was
the biological father? Well, I mean, he was the biological father. He's the one that dictated how his son would be raised. We think as the evidence comes out, you will see that she's not.
What I say? They're blaming the dead guy. Wow. He was dictating. Right.
She's not the villain she's being made out to be. Absolutely not.
You mentioned that the allegations were being non-corroborated. How are the allegations really being brought up?
Well, the allegations seem to be based on the words of one individual and one individual alone. I did not see anything in the warrant to indicate any independent evidence to corroborate these allegations. So we'll see how they stand up at trial. I do anticipate a trial in this case, given the shocking nature of the allegations. But she's adamant. She's done nothing wrong.
Where's the boy now? Where's the
I don't know. But from my understanding, he's based on my review of the warrant. There was no other person to corroborate any of the claims that were made, and we'll, at the appropriate time, we'll get into the motivations and the credibility of any witness.
That is correct. And so the judge did deny the request for GPS and also denied the request for home confinement.
Why do you feel like she's not a threat?
At the end of the day, first of all, Ms. Sullivan has strongly denied all of these allegations. And also what we're asking for people is to not confuse allegations for facts. This is going to be an extremely lengthy process, as most court cases are, but especially this case. There's going to be a lot of information. Sorry, to go back to your question, in terms of why Ms. Sullivan is not a threat, first of all, she has denied all of these allegations extremely strongly and adamantly. But on top of that, all of these allegations speak to one specific complainant. So these allegations, there is no threat to the whole public. At the end of the day, there is one complainant who is making these allegations.
So how does she explain the physical condition he was found in?
So at this point, we only have the information that you guys have, the arrest warrant, right? So that's basically the first step of the case, first step of the discovery. We need all the rest of the discovery before we are adequately able to assess the case, assess any valid defenses, and really see where we go from there.
yesterday your colleague mentioned or put the blame on her late husband, who now we know is wheelchair bound, passed away last January. How does someone wheelchair bound do something like this?
So again, we're going to need to see the rest of the information, right? The rest of the discovery before we're adequately able to assess all angles. However, what I can say is that this was the biological son of her now deceased husband. She is the stepmother. And so this father did dictate everything as to the upbringing and everything else.
So you feel like other people could be responsible for whatever may have happened to this?
At this point, given the limited information we have, we don't know exactly what's going on. You know, we need to get the rest of the information. We need to get the rest of the discovery before we can adequately say and adequately assess what the valid defenses are in this case.
I mean, how is she feeling personally about what she's accused of?
As Attorney Colloidis said yesterday, absolutely shocked. Okay, absolutely appalled by these allegations. Absolutely shocked.
Talk about what went on inside the courthouse today. I know they were asking for GPS and 24-hour lockdown and what you asked for and what ultimately.
Yep, that is correct. So in court today, there were some conditions that were asked from the state. The judge ultimately makes a decision for anyone, but in a situation like this, they have to decide what conditions of release will be set. So there was a monetary condition of release, bond, but then they can also set non-monetary conditions. So maybe GPS monitoring, IPS monitoring, some type of monitoring. Sometimes they do home confinement. Sometimes it's home confinement 24/7 lockdown. What my pitch was to the judge is that ultimately, because Ms. Sullivan is not a threat to the general public, that there should be no 24/7 lockdown and that there should be no GPS monitoring. At the end of the day, that is what the court ultimately ruled, and that's why the conditions that were set in place were the IPS monitoring.
Do you feel like state agencies, the school district, failed this young man?
So again, given the limited information that I have, I'm going to need to see how the rest of the evidence unfolds and what really the allegations show, what the evidence shows, and basically where we go from there.
She was arrested in Southington. Is that where she's living now?
No comment as to where she's living or where she was arrested.
Jason, can you give us your full name and spell, please?
Absolutely. My name is Jason Spilka, Spilka. I'm an attorney at the Colloidis Law Firm. That's Kaloidis. Yesterday, you guys heard from Attorney Colloidis. Today's me.
And do you expect her to enter a plea at the next hearing?
Absolutely not. For a couple different reasons, okay? First of all, Ms. Sullivan, like I said before, has adamantly denied all of these allegations. But also, just as kind of, backstory, cases don't resolve that quickly. Cases can take months to resolve, and why? We need to gather all the information. Like I said, you guys, I only have the arrest warrant. We only have the same information that you guys actually have. So at the end of the day, there is going to be a plethora of information. There's going to be so much information that we don't have, that we're going to need to have, and that we're going to need to keep coming back to court, speak to the prosecutors. This is a lengthy process. No case resolves quickly.
And so she's not going back to the house on Blake Street then?
In terms of where she's living or where she's going, I don't have any comment to that.
I mean, just going back to the facts or the allegations rather of this case, a 31-year-old, 68 pounds. She's the only person living there that we know of in the last year at least. I mean, how do you?
Yeah, absolutely. What we are waiting for is the rest of the information so we can adequately determine where our valid defenses are. I mean, like I said, Ms. Sullivan, at the end of the day, denies these allegations. The way that the system works is she's presumed innocent until and if ever she's proven otherwise. So at the end of the day.
Oh, he's making me laugh. He's so young and yeah. Okay. I that innocent until proven guilty. That's a huge thing to me too. However, the man is 31 years old and 68 pounds. That's a problem, people. To me. The shocking nature of the allegations, get real. How about the shocking condition? Right. Yeah, blame it on the dead guy. Mm-hmm. And he's funny, ain't he? Yeah, look at him. I'm on the news. Yeah, look at who you're defending here. Everybody needs a lawyer, though.
All of us stand here presumed innocent until someone ever proves otherwise. What we do, we're holding the state to that burden. and we're doing it extremely aggressively. You know, we are very prepared to aggressively defend this case on absolutely all routes and avenues that we need to.
Have you been able to speak to her stepson yet?
No, there normally isn't much contact between attorneys and the complainant or the alleged victim. But no, nothing.
It is a victim.
Jason, thank you.
Good evening. Thanks so much.
Alleged. Oh,
Kind of speak to whoever's asking questions.
hold on. Okay. The alleged victim, he says. What about the alleged? Okay, I can see alleged. Hold on, let me find where we're gonna go here. Hold on. You're welcome, lady. Oh, something's going on here. This is crazy. I would be afraid of her. Look at her attitude. She looks like, what am I doing here? I did nothing wrong. That's what she looks like to me. Allegedly. Right. This is crazy. This case is going to take a while. 20 years. They're going to have to get through 20 years.
Here for the news at 5, I'm Keisha Grant.
And I'm Mike Heidick. The big story continues. You heard it right. Kimberly Sullivan is out on bond tonight, walking free after her hearing earlier today.
While the judge is allowing her to go home, there are some conditions to her release.
We're bringing you live team coverage tonight of the shocking case. We start with NBC Connecticut's Amanda Pitts with more on what happened in court. Amanda.
Yeah, Mike, Kimberly Sullivan posted bond this afternoon at about 1:45 here at Waterbury Superior Court, posting 10% of her $300,000 bond. State prosecutors tried to get her under 24/7 home confinement. The judge ultimately denied that, instead putting her under a very strict supervision. All this while the investigation into how this could have possibly happened is just beginning. A welcome sign on the front door to an alleged house of horrors.
33 years of law enforcement. This is the worst treatment of humanity that I've ever witnessed.
The boarded up home on Blake Street in Waterbury is where a now 32-year-old says he was held captive by his stepmother, Kimberly Sullivan, for 20 years.
Always upstairs on the second floor window, and he always seemed like he was like trapped there.
First responders were called to the home last month after investigators say the victim set a fire in his 8x9 room using a lighter, hand sanitizer, and paper because he wanted his freedom, according to court documents. They reported the door to the room having multiple locks on the outside, and when found, the victim, according to court documents, was extremely emaciated. His hair was matted and unkempt. He was very dirty, and his teeth all appear to be rotten.
This victim, 31 years old, was 5'9", 68 pounds. He was in the stages of dying.
He told police he recalled drinking water from the toilet due to the fact that he was only getting about 2 cups of water per day, and was pulled out of school in the 4th grade as an 11-year-old because DCF was called after he'd steal others' food and sometimes eat food out of the garbage.
We knew it. We reported it. Not a damn thing was done. That's the tragedy of the whole thing.
Waterbury's chief says they have no record of that complaint. Police did make a welfare check in 2005 at the request of DCF.
Officers went to the house. The house was clean. It was lived in. They spoke to the victim at that point in time, and there were no cause for any alarm.
Sullivan is now facing assault and kidnapping charges. Posting bond on Thursday, the judge ordering her to be under intense probation supervision. Her attorney maintaining her innocence, pinning the blame on her late husband, who died last year and was wheelchair bound.
This was the biological son of her now deceased husband. She is the stepmother. And so this father did dictate everything as to the upbringing and everything else.
Now, the Department of Children and Families did release a statement this afternoon saying, "We are shocked and saddened for the victim and at the unspeakable conditions he endured. As a result, DCF has looked extensively at our current and historical databases and to date have been unable to locate any records pertaining to this family, nor any records connected to the names of others who have indicated they made reports to our department." Now, as for Sullivan, she's due back here in court on March 26th. Live in Waterbury, Amanda Pitts, NBC Connecticut News. Mike and Keisha.
Amanda Pitts with the very latest.
Okay, did we got more coming? Okay.
We continue our live team coverage now with NBC Connecticut's Matt Austin.
He's been hearing from the community about the case. Matt, how are they reacting?
Yeah, this is a real heartbreaking case for so many in this community, including for some longtime officers here. Now, some are wondering if the man had been spotted potentially over recent years.
Finding out that someone was allegedly held captive in this house in Waterbury for about 2 decades was a shock to a next-door neighbor who has lived here for 10 years.
To know I was right by here this whole time, and he was going through that suffering, it's heartbreaking. I hope he'll be okay.
Zephyr Guanera tells us years ago a family member playing outside potentially spotted the alleged victim, who might have looked like a kid.
She was just a 10-year-old child on the swing, doing what kids do, looked up in the window, saw a little child, she said had a baseball cap on. He waved to her, she waved to him, and that was it. He walked away, and she never saw him again.
At this point, the now 32-year-old's name has not yet been released or where he's recovering. The mayor has asked people to respect his privacy.
It's truly a horrifying, and it's beyond comprehension what occurred here. The young man's unimaginable suffering over the course of 2 decades is just a reminder of the darkness that does exist in our world.
This case has stunned even veteran officers. We're told investigators collected and brought him items like clothing and books as he begins his recovery.
Our plan is to continue to support him. He's going to need a lot of support as he travels through this and tries to figure out how to navigate what has occurred and what the future holds for him.
Now, that next door neighbor we heard from says he's not certain that he ever saw the man, but he does wonder if that's who was outside doing chores sometimes. Live in Waterbury, Matt Austin, NBC Connecticut News. Keisha, back to you.
In other news, Minnesota residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where any Minnesota
New tonight at 6, a road to recovery really unlike any other.
That's what the alleged victim of this decades-long captivity faces as he works to overcome severe malnutrition and psychological scars. Your reporter Owen Kingsley spoke with medical experts to better understand what this is going to take.
Inside this house, Waterbury police say a 32-year-old man weighing only 68 pounds allegedly was locked inside of a small room for more than 20 years by his stepmom. He's told police that he was only allowed out of that room for short amounts of time and only given small amounts of food and water. A traumatic situation that medical professionals say will be extremely difficult to recover from.
It's almost mind-boggling to understand what impact that would have.
Dr. Tobias Wasser is the chair of psychiatry at Quinnipiac. He says situations of prolonged abuse and isolation often damages a victim's ability to trust others, and the road to recovery could take years.
Much of the work in therapy for such an individual is beginning to build trust again with a trusted individual like a therapist.
Physically, this man tells police he was living on the edge of starvation, only given small amounts of food and water.
They don't have the strength, they can't get the nutrition, they can't move, and then you have this vicious cycle that just continues.
The recovery from malnutrition and muscle atrophy are similar. Both require slow introductions of movement and nutrition, a process that can take weeks or months.
As long as there's consistent, positive reintroduction of that, a gradual introduction of the movement and the strength, they can sometimes see a great recovery.
It's not known where the victim is recovering. A GoFundMe has been organized by Safe Haven of Greater Waterbury, a domestic abuse treatment center. They've already raised thousands of dollars for the man's expected costs for counseling and therapy, as well as medical and dental care, too.
This is probably the worst case I've ever seen in my lifetime. This individual is going to need a lot of support.
You know who I think should pay for it? I think Child Protection should pay for it. That's who I think to pay for everything. They should. Because that last visit that they did, I bet you anything they didn't go upstairs to his room. I bet you they just walked in, right? They didn't walk through the house. I bet you anything. And of course the kid's going to lie. Because that's what you do. You protect your abuser. Probably. Of course. Yeah.
Support over the coming months and years.
Your reporter in Waterbury, Owen Kingsley, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right. That's what I have on this case, people. And I'm going to continue reporting on this. The next court date is the 26th. So hopefully it'll be live streamed. If not, maybe after. And I think it's sick that she's out of jail. I don't understand any of this. So he was like, that one attorney is like blaming the kid too. I don't care. I'm calling him a kid because you know what? He's left, as 11-year-old. He's 11-year-old in a 31-year-old body. 68 pounds. Can you imagine that? Okay, everybody. I appreciate every one of you. I'm going live one more time. Sorry. Tonight and at 6 p.m. And we're going through Gypsy Rose's incident reports at Missouri Department of Corrections. So there's that. All right, guys. Love you.